company in the same building as Raytheon. These are sort of Raytheon-Lockheed joint ventures outside of just missiles. They're selling the Stinger missiles, and it's probably good for outfitting the opposition with missiles that can take down planes or can take down tanks to give to ISIS, so that the other side has to buy more stuff on the other side. So in a way, it's almost like Lockheed Martin and Raytheon hiring I guess people come into the bar to start a fight so that you can keep your job as a bouncer, I guess.
What do you think?
I think we're in play. The Klitschko piece is obviously the complicated electron here, especially the announcement of him as deputy prime minister. And you've seen some of my notes on the troubles in the marriage right now. So we're trying to get a read really fast on where he is on this stuff. But I think your argument to him, which you'll need to make, I think that's the next phone call we want to set up, is exactly the one you made to Yachts. And I'm glad you sort of put him on the spot on where he fits in this scenario. And I'm very glad he said what he said in response.
Breaking tonight, a big story involving Hillary Clinton and a powerful businessman who was funneling millions in donations to her family foundation while possibly violating the U.S. sanctions on Iran. Sanctions Mrs. Clinton was supposed to enforce. Welcome to the Kelly File, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. There are serious new questions tonight involving Hillary Clinton and the man seen here, Victor Pinchuk.
Regarding Hillary that everybody is going to want to hear tonight. And so we are going to go, without further ado, the man who needs no introduction, Mr. Roger
But anyway, she had said that this was a fund, a slush fund, task force I'm talking about now, that was administrated. Peter Strzok Jr. actually was in the building in where Raytheon is, and was some front company. I thought it was EMC that he was working for, and letting out this money. And Bitcoin obviously wasn't available back then, so you had kind of a system of shell companies overseas, and I don't know all the details. I know some of the money went through the Khashoggis and Jeff Epstein for a number of years until about 2007 or 2006, and then this Burisma comes into Cyprus in 2006 as a shell company. In 2009, the reason why Hunter Biden gets put in, and the reason why I think Devin Archer, now that I know he's a bundler for the Democratic Party, it makes sense. Now you're going to use this money, you're going to dip into this money to do elections and so forth, or covert operations that you're going to make money and then sell the stuff you get, basically.
The story to report to you today, it's about a Ukrainian oligarch and his ties to Bill and Hillary Clinton. Now, who is this guy? Victor Pinchuk. Now, this guy is a steel magnate. He's an oligarch. He's a man who made his money off of the fall, the collapse of the Soviet Union, like most oligarchs did. They raped the people and the resources of their home countries after the fall of the Soviet Union, and then people in the West either clapped for them if they liked them, like Khodorkovsky and some of the criminal scum of Russia. They love those ones. But if they're a Russian oligarch or a Ukrainian oligarch who are pro-Russian, who have worked with the government, oh, they're bad, they're oligarchs, they need to be shown to be just scum, these scum who just steal, they're crime bosses, organized crime, of course.
Good. So I don't think Cleach should go into the government. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you think, what, in terms of him not going into the government, just let him sort of stay out and do his political homework and stuff. I'm just thinking in terms of sort of the process moving ahead, we want to keep the moderate Democrats together. The problem is going to be Tony Book and his guys. And, you know, I'm sure that's part of what Yanukovych is calculating on all of this.
I think Yates is the guy who's got the economic experience, the governing experience. He's the guy, what he needs is Cleach and Tony Book on the outside. He needs to be talking to them 4 times a week,
Mr. Pinchuk is the 4th richest man in Ukraine, the owner of a massive pipeline company, and reportedly the man who gave more to the Clintons Family Foundation than any other individual.
So it's sort of like buying a gun to rob a bank. You get a lot more money from the bank than selling the gun on the street, right? So the idea is you buy these guns with the slush fund, and then your takings, then you sell off all the oil partnerships. Now you generate money for your campaign.
Tell us, how are you doing today, Mr.
Bombshell information today. Now, we know that the Ukrainian billionaire Viktor Pinchuk gave $10 million to the Clinton Foundation.
I just think Cleach going in, he's going to be at that level working for Yatsenyuk. It's just not going to work.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. Okay, good. Well, do you want us to try to set up a call with him as the next step?
My understanding from that call, but you tell me, was that the big 3 were going into their own meeting, and that Yates was going to offer in that context a 3-way, the 3+1 conversation or 3+2 with you. Is that not how you understood it?
No, I mean, that's what he proposed, but I think just knowing the dynamic that's been with them where Klitschko has been the top dog, he's going to take a while to show up for whatever meeting they've got. He's probably talking to his guys at this point. So I think you reaching out directly to him helps with the personality management among the 3, and it gives you also a chance to move fast on all this stuff and put us behind it before they all sit down and he explains why he doesn't like it.
Okay, good. I'm happy. Why don't you reach out to him and see if he wants to talk before or after?
Okay, will do. Thanks.
Okay, I've now written, one more wrinkle for you, Jeff.
Yeah.
I can't remember if I told you this or if I only told Washington this, that when I talked to Jeff Feltman this morning, he had a new name for the UN guy, Robert Seri. Did I write you that this morning?
Yeah,
okay.
I saw that.
He's now gotten both Seri and Ban Ki-moon to agree that Seri could come in Monday or Tuesday.
Okay.
And I didn't have that piece. I was missing that Devin Archer piece. I kept saying Trevor Archer. You could see I didn't have all my facts down as far as his close connection to Mueller and Kerry. Mueller and Kerry.
A report now released by Newsweek magazine alleges that Mr. Pinchuk's company may have violated U.S. sanctions on Iran, done business with Iran in 2012 and possibly beyond that year, by delivering nearly $2 million worth of steel pipes to Iran for pipelines. That's a no-no.
And in return, Hillary Clinton, as Secretaries of State, approved and supported the toppling of the Democratic elected president of Ukraine.
Wow.
They didn't impeach him. They didn't beat him in election. They ran him out of town at gunpoint. Here's what we didn't know.
So that would be great, I think, to help glue this thing and have the UN help glue it. And, fuck the EU.
Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State at that time and happened to be the person charged with holding foreign entities responsible for violating U.S. sanctions on Iran.
Hillary Clinton specifically told Amy Chozick of the New York Times that she never met with Pinchuk during the time she was Secretary of State.
The other thing that makes more sense now is Task Force very much felt that the server was at the White House, and I was obviously a little bit uncomfortable with that idea. With Obama, it would have to have been under Obama's nose.
No, exactly. And I think we've got to do something to make it stick together, because you can be pretty sure that if it does start to gain altitude, the Russians will be working behind the scenes to try to torpedo it.
During that same time, between 2009 and 2013, the Clinton Foundation received at least $8.6 million from the Viktor Pinchuk Foundation.
Disgusting.
Emails released by WikiLeaks today showed definitively that Hillary not only met with Pinchuk at least 3 times, but she dined at her home in Washington, D.C. privately with Pinchuk.
Caught
the fix
red-handed.
was in.
Wow.
Yet another phenomenal, big-time Hillary Clinton lie.
And I resisted that idea. We had these fights over Flynn and Obama a lot. But now I'm going with what Task Force said. It was, at least in the vice president's office, And it's this same server for covert action, the same server that they're saying Trump hid the covert action for Ukraine in 2014 or hid this conversation with Zelensky. That is going to be the same server for covert action that they've been using since 2009, this Burisma server.
And Pinchuk has pledged more than 20 million more and hasn't been charged with violating U.S. sanctions on Iran.
And again, the fact that this is out there right now, I'm still trying to figure out in my mind why Yanukovych did that. But in the meantime, there's a Party of Regions faction meeting going on right now, and I'm sure there's a lively argument going on in that group at this point.
And that would make perfect sense why, when this Burisma server came into the White House in 2009, this is now the Democrats using the Treasury and borrowing funds, if you will, to do covert actions. It would make perfect sense why that Burisma server would go back to Ukraine. And it would make perfect sense that Imran Awan would say, I work in the White House, I can get the president fired, making Joe Biden the president, if any of this covert action ever came out. It would make perfect sense why Imran Awan was configuring the BlackBerries for Joe Biden.
But anyway, we could land jelly side up on this one if we move fast. So let me work on Klitschko, and if you can just keep, I think we want to try to get somebody with an international personality to come out here and help to midwife this thing. And then the other issue is some kind of outreach to Yanukovych, but we probably regroup on that tomorrow as we see how things start to fall into place.
Deep BlackBerry, the informant on the Biden team, is trying to push my attention toward Florida and try to push my attention toward Wexler and the company called Inter-American when Imran first starts, but he says that Imran's configuring for all these different senators and congressmen their BlackBerries, but we're not talking about the server. Deep BlackBerry doesn't talk about the server in the White House. I didn't know about the server in the White House until this came out. Now I'm convinced the reason why everyone knows about this server is because it is the weapons server. It is the Burisma server, if you will, and it is going to be the metadata screams, Whitey Bulger, drugs, weapons, Billy Bulger, Jimmy Bulger, all the Bulgers on this thing. Cofer Black, who is, that's the Seneca part, that's the CIA part of this thing. And then you have the political fronts on this, which is Heinz with representing Kerry. Kerry's interest in this is this Iran seized money. And in order to get the Iran seized money back out of the server after your reign is over with, you want to get it all out. You want to get all the money out, and that's the Iran nuclear deal. In the Iran nuclear deal, basically you're going to the bank account and cashing out the account. You're taking all the accumulated takings, if you will, and then you're making a big withdrawal. And that's why they hate Trump on the big withdrawal. They were expecting 3 payouts of $450 billion, and that's why they have to do the impeachment. They've only got a third of that money, of the principal I'm talking about. Most of these operations were sort of run like you would use your bank account, just for daily expenses. These would be expenses for covert operations. But at some point, when you think that you might lose your account because it's illegal, you move it. And that's what the Iran nuclear deal did. But it was only 1/3 of the money, only 1/3 of the money. So we'll get there.
So on that piece, Jeff, when I wrote the note, Sullivan's come back to me, VFR, saying you need Biden, and I said probably tomorrow for an attaboy and to get the deeds to stick. So
okay.
Biden's willing.
Okay, great.
All right.
Thanks.